I thought I knew what I was getting into when it came to the Somnium Files' Nirvana Initiative. I had trained my mind with the first game and was ready to take on the second. But the second game ended up even more confounding than the previous one, mixed with some very nice aha moments. It would have been very easy for the developers to give more of the same for the sequel, but Nirvana Initiative did a lot to rework several aspects from the first game. I do think that this game could provoke mixed responses on how they handled several parts, but I'll give credit to them for trying to expand the series' horizons. It's a bit messy, but the game kept my attention captured throughout the experience and has provoked a lot of thought post-playthrough. The Somnium Files' Nirvana Initiative is the sequel to the Somnium Files, continuing the journey of this adventure murder mystery visual novel. While the game does happen after the events of the first game, it is possible to play without playing the first game. Early on, you are specifically asked if you know the events of the first game, including being quizzed on certain parts to make sure. Depending on the answer, the game's dialogue will change, but not majorly, as nothing plot crucial in the second game is dependent on the first game. The sequel is once again developed and published by Spike Chunsoft and is the brainchild of Kotaro Uchikoshi, who wrote both games and directed the first game, but not this one. The game released for PC, Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 on June 24, 2022 in Japan and North America, and July 8th in Europe and Oceania. The game's reception has been quite positive, although slightly below the critical reception of the first game. The comparison between the two was common in many reviews, both in positive and negative ways. As for sales, thus far the only numbers we have come from Japan, which, like the first game, have been quite underwhelming. Hopefully the numbers in the West are stronger, but it is hard to assess. It looks likely though that Nirvana Initiative will follow its predecessor in the high critical and fan praise but low sales category. As with the original The Somnium Files, the twists and turns of the story would likely be at their best if you go in with as little foreknowledge as possible. Therefore, if you want to skip the story section that I will talk about next, here is the time to skip to. The game takes place at two different times, a few months after the events of the first game, and 6 years later. Both times, though, deal with a case called the half-body serial killings, a mysterious set of killings that involve people murdered by being sliced in half to a molecular level. In the past, Special Agent Ryuki worked with his eyeball teammate Tama in order to investigate the killings. Then, in the present, Special Agent Mizuki works with her new eyeball teammate Aiba to investigate the new discoveries of the other half of one of the bodies. Both Ryuki and Mizuki work at an agency called Abyss, the Advanced Brain Investigation Squad, that has the ability to sync with people, entering their somnium/dreams and find out hidden information. Using these syncs, Tama and Aiba's immense AI powers, and some good old-fashioned investigation work, both agents get the chance to find out more about the serial killer and their plans. Throughout the journey, Mizuki and Ryuki will deal with secret societies, technology beyond our ken, and their own internal issues. Friends new and old will help or hinder our main characters on this adventure. As always with an Uchikoshi written game, there are plenty of twists and turns, puns, and a blend of philosophical and scientific discussions. The writing of Nirvana Initiative felt more experimental than the previous game, with a large cast and an even more insane plot twist tying it all together. For some, that means this game will reach incredible heights, and for others, not so much. I landed somewhat in the middle on that idea. I think the story's ambition served it well, but the large cast diverted attention. The personal connection and growth of the characters felt a little hollower, and thus my investment in their stories and relationships was lessened. That being said, the big moments still hit, and I had plenty of laugh out loud, mind blown, and hype moments throughout the game. Additionally, the returning cast was still predictably great, and the newcomers were overall well written. Some of the story beats and plotlines didn't work for me, but I respect the choices that were made. Obviously, with a visual novel, it is the story that is going to ultimately determine a person's enjoyment, which may make some writers play things safe, but that's never been Uchikoshi's style. The bold choices may mean that people's opinions on the writing and story are more varied, but I think it would be hard to say the writers didn't care about telling an engaging story with carefully constructed characters, because that's exactly what they did. As for gameplay, there are 3 different types of gameplay within Nirvana Initiative: QuickTime events, virtual reality investigations, and Somniums. I will start though with the biggest one, with the Somniums. Once Ryuki or Mizuki sync into another character, you start controlling Tama or Aiba and move around the Somnium, unlocking mental blocks in order to proceed. You have 6 minutes in which to accomplish your goal, and if you don't accomplish it in that time, you fail and have to start over either from the beginning or a checkpoint. The nice thing about Somniums though are that time only really counts down when you are moving or performing an action. Each action takes time to complete and will display how long it takes when you interact with the object or person in the Somnium. You can change that time occasionally with the use of a timey if you have one. All of this, apart from Tama, is very familiar to people who have played the first game. However, Nirvana Initiative Somniums are structured differently from the first game's Somniums. First off, they are less surreal than the previous game, with more rules that govern how they work and how to proceed. These rules are spelled out for you via the keys that help unlock the mental locks with hints of text. While this cuts down on frustration, it also makes many of the Somniums very easy. Many, but not all. Secondly, some Somniums add in new challenges altering your gameplay style, from the conscious antibodies blocking your path to the ball that will speed up time if you're caught by it. These were a mixed bag. Some of the challenges really worked and made for memorable Somniums, and others were just annoying. Basically, like any level gimmick. Thirdly, the Somniums that lead into branching paths do not tell you that until you have reached near the point of split between them. The one exception is the very first Somnium, but that's designed to only have one path favored anyway. It's a little detailed, but it did change how I viewed the Somniums at points. Overall, while you won't mistake them for proper puzzle dungeons or anything like that, Nirvana Initiative added more tools at your disposal while also increasing the memorability of each Somnium's gameplay by highlighting their unique mechanics. Much like the story, I could see people going either way with these, but I think there were some truly excellent Somniums, and some I am only touching again to get footage for this video. While the Somniums obviously take main focus, the virtual reality investigations are also quite important. In this mode, Tama or Aiba recreate the scene of the crime in virtual reality, allowing Ryuki and Mizuki to explore around and interact without actually disturbing the scene. Clues can be found in regular vision mode, along with X-ray and thermo modes, and once the clues have been gathered, we move to recreate what happened. It's fairly straightforward. At certain points in the recreation, you need to use the clues gathered to figure out what happened next. While simple, it is helpful for understanding and parsing together the sometimes convoluted sequence of events in a manner that's not just expositing what occurred. These were some of the more entertaining sections, but that is more because of character antics. The last gameplay area is the QuickTime events, and like the VR investigations, these are pretty straightforward, but there is some variety in them. They appear in more situations than before, meaning not just the fight scenes, but also some moments where stealth is required, or even within some Somniums. I also believe that the challenge of some of the QTs have been increased, with the one exception of the aiming and firing ones, which have actually become easier than the first game. The QuickTime events add some variety and let you engage a little more with the big action scenes, but otherwise, they're still QuickTime events and don't have too much to offer overall. Something that surprised me with Nirvana Initiative is the level of side content and post-game content. Don't get me wrong, this is not extensive stuff here, but it's still much more than I expected from the game. For side content, there are the AI rooms where you can visit Aiba and Tama, dress them up in outfits, and get advice from them. The outfits can be purchased using eyeballs from the bonus menu. The eyeballs are collected usually via the Somniums. However, you also get some by engaging with the mini Tamagotchi mode, where you answer questions and evolve an AI ball into various characters in the game based on your answers. It asks questions every 20 minutes during the regular game. You can answer as many questions as you want after you've completed the game. The currency reward is certainly worth it, and it can be a fun distraction at times. The other ways you collect the eyeball currency is by completing a Somnium with more than 1 second to spare, or finding the eyeballs in the Somniums. There are 5 eyeballs to find in every Somnium, which may seem daunting, especially since the first game only had 1, until you reach the post-game and you can redo any Somnium without a time limit. Not only does this allow you to explore for those eyeballs, now you get all of the funny wrong answer dialogues you always wanted to get without worrying about the time. It's a fantastic addition to the post-game. Otherwise, you can spend the time trying to collect all of the compendium entries and trivia from Aiba and Tama. I'm happy the developers gave these rewards, especially the untimed Somniums, to us for completing the game. When it comes to presentation, Nirvana Initiative is consistently good. The art style and character designs are standouts in most ways. You can tell that a scene is from the game because of the distinctive style, and a lot of the new characters' designs and the updated 6 years later designs are strong too. The biggest change for the visual part of the game for me, though, was the animation. It definitely is better and more fluid than before, but this still is an AI game, and the occasional stiff animation is to be expected. There's also the choreography of the fight scenes that is reminiscent of old martial arts films where everyone takes their turn attacking the heroes one or two at a time. To me, though, that's part of the charm of the game, and the writing is already ridiculous, so why should the fight scenes be any different? Musically, a good number of the tracks return from the first game, but the new tracks are really good. I think the Somnium music in particular was excellent, with each track fitting the Somnium really well, even while being wildly different. The voice acting, which was the highlight of the first game, is solid in this game too, but with a larger cast, I feel they didn't get as much chance to show off their skills as the first game offered its actors. UI and UX wise, the game is pretty easy to navigate, although I still would have liked a couple more save slots like the first game had. Nirvana Initiative did not stray far from the formula set by the first game when it came to presentation, and that paid off for the game by allowing the artists and designers to refine rather than redo everything. The Somnium Files was always going to be a hard game to follow up on. Whether Nirvana Initiative successfully does so is obviously a matter of personal opinion, but what I can say is that Nirvana Initiative did send me on an entertaining ride. I have my issues with some of the writing and story choices, but I still think the heart of these characters and the tale is there, in maybe unexpected ways. The gameplay has you feeling more like a detective than ever before, and has improved the experience throughout the game from beginning to post-game. If you enjoyed the first game, I think it's worth it to give its sequel a try, and if you're a newcomer, I do advise playing the first game, but if this is the one that caught your eye, go for it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can show your appreciation by giving the video a like, comment, share, whatever helps keep us in the good graces of the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more of my videos, consider subscribing and checking out some of the older ones, including my video on the first AI the Somnium Files game. Until next time, I hope you have a great day, and happy gaming.